Welcome to the Clemson Dubcast. It is Friday, March 3rd. We are 3 days away from the start of 2023 Clemson spring football practice. And as I speak, well, not exactly as I speak, but today, putting a lot of work in with Paul Strelo on a lot of great weekend content analysis, position by position breakdowns, what things look like at the interior offensive line, at defensive back, at running back, and then, of course, that wide receiver position that certainly is going to need to be a lot better moving forward. So plenty of content coming your way this weekend at TigerIllustrated.com. My good friends Blake Smith and Brooke Archenhold have been part of the podcast since the beginning, way back in August of 2018. They have an accomplished team of personal injury attorneys at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold based in Greenville. They are Clemson people, and their skillful attorneys have decades of experience in complicated litigation matters, taking a special interest in medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, and neglect, car accident cases that have left the individuals involved in serious trouble. For a free consultation at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold, call 864-990-4581 or online at parhamlaw.com. That's P-A-R-H-A-M law.com. When you're ready for a complete renovation in your home or business, open the door to more with Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Their local experienced team will totally transform any room space, from beautiful floor coverings to construction to finished details. Harris handles every step of your renovation process, whether it's a kitchen or living room or an industrial or educational setting, like some of the positively stunning work they've done at Clemson University. Go to discoverharris.com and experience a total renovation transformation from Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Solero Communications, formerly known as Tandem Payment, is a full-service integrated electronic payments provider powered by leading-edge technology. Solero provides a wide array of merchant solutions, simplified payments. They make onboarding, taking payments, maintaining risk management and compliance, and getting support quick and easy. At Solero, they're all about helping you achieve sustainable growth as a business. Taking payments isn't the only thing your business needs. With Solero's solutions, you can manage inventory, sell products and services via social media, schedule staff, track sales, get reports, and much, much more. Find out more about Solero at solerocommerce.com. That's C-E-L-E-R-O commerce.com. Okay, to our conversation with Jack Leggett. He was packing up to head from Greenville to Clemson for this week, the start of this weekend's big series against South Carolina. So many interesting layers to his return to Clemson, and we explore just about all of it here, so enjoy. Yeah, I just wanted to go over a lot has happened since we last, you and I had an in-depth conversation last May, and so just catching up with you. You doing okay?
I'm doing good, Larry. Doing good. Yeah, need a W tonight. I feel a lot better.
Yeah. Okay.
Some vitamin W is always a good potion for feeling better. That's for sure.
First of all, what is this like? You're back. You're involved with the program, of course. Director of Program Development is your title, but still not running the show. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it has to be strange.
It is a little bit. I'm just happy that Graham, Neff, and Eric have welcomed me back and made me feel important, relevant, and that my experience and knowledge of the game and all those kinds of things is important. And I've got a great relationship with Eric, and always have for 20 plus years, and we've been great friends. And honestly, I've tried to give him every single out not to be around, because I want, this is his team, this is his program and so forth. But he wants me around and seems to be adamant about it. And I feel like I'm able to lend something to the players and lend something to the coaches and lend something with my experience and everything in some way. But I'm there really on a part-time basis where I can get down there a few times a week, and he wants me there for every home game. So that's what I've been doing. And also was down there 3 or 4 times a week during the fall. And, but in this role, you have certain limitations, NCAA limitations, and we've had meetings with compliance and so forth to know exactly what I can and cannot do. And so that's the tough part for me is not being able to hit fungos and throw BP and go out to shortstop and, work with the infielders and all that kind of thing. So that's tough. It's like, that's not easy, but at the same time, I'm able to talk to the coaches and observe practice and evaluate and those kinds of things and help them in that way to help the players. And so anyway, it's been good. I really have enjoyed being around. I enjoy being around young people. I enjoy being around enthusiasm. Eric's got a really good way about him with his players and with his staff. He's got a really good staff and it just makes you feel young being around. And I love baseball. I love the game. And I love coaching. I love teaching. I love mentoring or giving a little tidbit here and there that helps the coaches or helps the players. And I can speak to the team and makes observations during games to help, afterwards and all those kinds of things and evaluating games and so forth. So there's a lot of things that I'm able to do. But like you say, I spent 40 years coaching, teaching the fundamentals and being involved in coaching third base and the whole deal. So it is a little bit different, but I'm just happy that they see value in me being around.
You said you've given Eric every opportunity in this situation. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that, I wanted to make sure that he feels comfortable of me being around and me being at the games. And he's made it very apparent that he wants me, near him, next to him in the dugout and talking with him and being around. And so I wanted to make sure that this wasn't something that he felt obligated to do or felt, pressure to do in any way. So that's what I meant by that. Is I just want to make sure this is something exactly that fits into his plan for the program and that I fit in there in that role. And so that's exactly what I meant by that.
When we talked at length last May, I didn't go back and listen to that, so I'm just going off my recollections. This was, of course, as the season was still in progress under what ended up being Monte Lee's final season. But at that moment, you were very bitter about how things had been handled under Graham Neff's predecessor, Dan Radakovich. And at that point, your position was like, I'm not going to be around for 50 more years. When are they going to do something, to recognize not just my accomplishments, but the program's accomplishments under me? At what point can we go over a timeline of and I know at that time that Graham had been planning to visit with you and to smooth things over. Your recollection of the timeline from that point, just to catch everybody up and just to sort of refresh on from that.
I don't know if I'd use the word bitter. I guess I just was, it just wasn't Clemson the way it ended. So that's always, sat in my craw a little bit because I know what Clemson's all about. I know how that they appreciate good work, and I know that they appreciate people who work hard and run a good program. So it just was a little different than what I had expected out of Clemson at that time. And so it was hurtful for a while. But, the timeline from there was, I think just, Graham, after he became the athletic director and after he made the decision what he was going to do with the program, we talked, and it was nice for him to be able to include me, and we just had a really good talk about him wanting to try to do something to recognize, the times that we had here at Clemson. But other than that, it just was one of those things that, the athletic director makes decisions, and they're not always easy. They're not always exactly what everybody else wants, or not exactly the time people want. So it's a tough job, but I respect, what he's done. I think he's brought in a really good leader for this program, and Eric, and, I certainly respect the fact that he's welcomed me back and appreciated my input or my my experience and the fact that we, our legacy or our tradition that we built along the way, and that's something that that I'm appreciative of. So hopefully that will continue, and hopefully everyone will see in time that this is the right decision and the right leader for the program. Eric's a fantastic person, a fantastic coach, and it's going to take a little time to get it exactly the way he wants it, but it's going to be something I think everybody's going to be proud of.
I know you live in Greenville. Did Graham actually come to Greenville to visit with you, or was it over the phone initially back in May or somewhere thereabouts?
We talked, we got together and asked to meet, and we talked, and we had a great conversation. We talked for quite a while, and just trying to figure out, maybe after he made a decision, what the next steps were. And we talked about some people that might be able to do the job. And, in my estimation, and for whatever it's worth, I just gave him my opinion. But he's the athletic director. He's going to make his own decisions. And I know he vetted everybody. He talked to several people. He talked to a lot more people than just me in coming up with Eric. And we had a great reputation throughout the country and throughout Division I baseball and other coaches and so forth. And so it was a decision based on his due diligence and his being able to find out as much as they could about the people that were available. And so, he kept me involved in the loop and what was going on and those kinds of things, which was really nice. But at the same time, it was, it comes down to his decision. It comes down to his feeling comfortable with the leader of the baseball program. And I think they hit it off really well.
I remember years ago, long time ago, going into Jervy and popping my head into that baseball assistant coach's office and talking to Sully and LaCroix. And I wasn't around early enough when Corbin and Sully and Eric were all in the same office, but it's hard to describe how small that office was and how much things have changed since then. But that's pretty amazing to think back on at the level of achievement that was toiling away in that little office there.
Well, it was 2002, and we had a really good staff, and we had really good players, and we had good chemistry, and we had a really good tradition thing going on. We'd been in Omaha in 2000, 95, 96, 2000, now 2002, and then a few years later in 2006 and 10. So we had something going really well, and that staff had really good chemistry. There was a lot of competitive juices in one office, and really it was one of those things where I could see Eric having a great future in coaching. Obviously, I knew Tim and Sully, who were going to be off on their way at some point. And so to be able to follow Eric's progress from there and over to Vanderbilt and then to Maryland, where we played against each other, and then up into Michigan and watch how well he did up there, it was not a shock to see what kind of coach he has become and what kind of person he is, and how organized and how competitive and how hardworking he is. I saw those things 22 years ago.
So Eric gets the job. I assume it takes some considerable, figuring and talking about, figuring out what exactly your job is going to entail. What was that like? Just sort of defining what exactly it was going to be.
Well, I think, right at his press conference, he made it apparent in front of everybody that he wanted me involved in some capacity.
He's an unbelievable resource, and he's a great friend, and he's a great mentor, and he's been a great mentor ever since I worked for him 20 years ago. And my answer to that is we have to have Coach Leggett involved in this program and around our players, and the energy that he brings, and whatever capacity that is and whatever title that is, I don't know, but I just know the program will be better with his energy involved.
he's made it very apparent that he wants me, near him, next to him in the dugout, and talking with him and being around. And so I wanted to make sure that this wasn't something that he felt obligated to do or felt, pressured to do in any way. So that's what I meant by that. Is I just want to make sure this is something exactly that fits into his plan for the program and that I fit in there in that role. And so that's exactly what I meant by that.
When we talked at length last May, I didn't go back and listen to that, so I'm just going off my recollections. This was, of course, as the season was still in progress under what ended up being Monte Lee's final season. But at that moment, you were very bitter about how things had been handled under Graham Neff's predecessor, Dan Radakovich. And at that point, your position was like, I'm not going to be around for 50 more years. When are they going to do something, to recognize not just my accomplishments, but the program's accomplishments under me? At what point can we go over a timeline of and I know at that time that Graham had been planning to visit with you and to smooth things over. Your recollection of the timeline from that point, just to catch everybody up and just to sort of refresh on from that.
I don't know if I'd use the word bitter. I guess I just was, it just wasn't Clemson the way it ended. So that's always, sat in my craw a little bit because I know what Clemson's all about. I know how that they appreciate good work, and I know that they appreciate people who work hard and run a good program. So it just was a little different than what I had expected out of Clemson at that time. And so it was hurtful for a while. But, the timeline from there was, I think just, Graham, after he became the athletic director and after he made the decision what he was going to do with the program, we talked, and it was nice for him to be able to include me, and we just had a really good talk about him wanting to try to do something to recognize, the times that we had here at Clemson. But other than that, it just was one of those things that, the athletic director makes decisions, and they're not always easy. They're not always, exactly what everybody else wants, or not exactly the time people want. So it's a tough job, but I respect, what he's done. I think he's brought in a really good leader for this program in Eric. And, I certainly respect the fact that he's welcomed me back and appreciated my, input or my, my experience and the fact that we, our legacy or our tradition that we built along the way. And that's something that, that I'm appreciative of. So hopefully that will continue, and hopefully, everyone will see in time that this is the right decision and the right leader for the program. Eric's a fantastic person, a fantastic coach, and it's going to take a little time to get it exactly the way he wants it, but it's going to be something I think everybody's going to be proud of.
I know you live in Greenville. Did Graham actually come to Greenville to visit with you, or was it over the phone initially back in, I guess, in May or somewhere thereabouts?
We talked, we got together and asked to meet, and we talked, and we had a great conversation. We talked for quite a while, and just trying to figure out, maybe after he made a decision, what the next steps were. And we talked about some people that might be able to do the job. And, in my estimation, and for whatever it's worth, I just gave him my opinion. But he's the athletic director. He's going to make his own decisions. And I know he vetted everybody. He talked to several people. He talked to a lot more people than just me in coming up with Eric. And we had a great reputation throughout the country and throughout Division I baseball and other coaches and so forth. And so it was a decision based on his due diligence and his being able to find out as much as they could about the people that were available. And so, he kept me involved in the loop and what was going on and those kinds of things, which was really nice. But at the same time, it was, it comes down to his decision, it comes down to his feeling comfortable with the leader of the baseball program. And I think they hit it off really well.
I remember years ago, long time ago, going into Jervy and popping my head into that baseball assistant coach's office and talking to Sully and LaCroix. And I wasn't around early enough when Corbin and Sully and Eric were all in the same office, but it's hard to describe how small that office was and how much things have changed since then.
Sure. Well, I think it was the recognition of how lucky I was to be surrounded by Coach Leggett, Coach Corbin, Coach O'Sullivan, and then that team of superstar players of that type of success to, your first year coaching. And it's like, oh, yeah, we'll just win 54 games and be number one in the country and go to Omaha. That's just how you do it. And, so for me, it was a lot of times drinking from the fire hose and being a sponge and taking it all in. But I just will forever be thankful and grateful for not only being on staff with those guys, but the fact that Coach Corbin, Coach O'Sullivan, and myself shared a single office every single day. And you want to talk about accelerating the learning curve. That was it. So it's all of those things fortified by our team's success and still maintaining contact and relationships with those guys.
But that's pretty amazing to think back on at the level of the level of achievement that was toiling away in that little office there.
Well, it was 2002, and we had a really good staff, and we had really good players, and we had good chemistry, and we had a really good tradition thing going on. We'd been in Omaha in 2000, 95, 96, 2000, now 2002, and then a few years later in 2006 and 10. So we had something going really well, and that staff had really good chemistry. There was a lot of competitive juices in one office. And really, it was one of those things where, I could see Eric having a great future in coaching. Obviously, I knew Tim and Sully, who were going to be off on their way at some point. And so to be able to follow Eric's progress from there and over to Vanderbilt and then to Maryland where we played against each other and then up into Michigan and watch how well he did up there. It was not a shock to see, what kind of coach he has become and what kind of person he is and how organized and how competitive and how hardworking he is. I saw those things 22 years ago.
So Eric gets the job. I assume it takes some considerable, figuring and talking about, figuring out what exactly your job is going to entail. What was that like? Just sort of defining what exactly it was going to be.
Well, I think, right at his press conference, he made it apparent in front of everybody that he wanted me involved in some capacity. And then it's just a matter, I guess, of finding out. And of course, we had talked about things before that, but he was adamant at that point, and so I think it was just trying to find the right title, the right role for me that would help the coaches, help the players, that wouldn't involve, and of course we had meetings with compliance and trying to figure out exactly what you can and cannot do, and so forth. So we're all in compliance with the rules and so forth. And so that was a good meeting, and that kind of opened our eyes to what we could do. And I think we just figured out at that point, my best role would be able to help the coaches, be able to evaluate practice, be able to evaluate games, be able to be at games, at home games. I wasn't going to travel with the team all the time. Home games and postseason type things would be good. And then, practices when I could make them. And I would come. I live an hour from Clemson, so it wasn't the easiest thing to be there all the time. And all that I told the players and told the coaches is that I can't be here 100% of the time. But when I am here, you will have 100% of me. And because I'm all in on the program, I'm all in on Eric being the coach and the leader of this program. I'm all in on Clemson. I'm all in on helping this program in any way that I possibly can get back where I think it can be and where, the expectations are. And so, to be a mentor to the players, they gravitate to you. They want to know what your experience is. They want to know some stories. They want to know about your former players or what made the teams good. They want to know little tidbits about, what they can do to get better and, mentally and all those types of things. And so, without being able to get on the field, inside the lines, getting down and dirty with them or in the cage, that kind of thing. It's you have to just do things to help them in a different role, kind of like, I guess, what he does with football and, what anybody else would do in that role, to help mentor the coaches and players and help the program in any way they can. So that's kind of how it all evolved is, okay, this is what we can do. This is what we can't do. So this is how, we can help and be supportive to the program and its goals.
Jack, you are a coach.
Yes.
And you want to coach. I know you do. It's just in your blood. And so
right.
I'm guessing, I guess I have to ask, initially, did you come into it thinking, I'm going to be able to coach? And then you had to basically be told otherwise just because that's not within the rules. Is that?
No.
That's not, hasn't been?
No, I knew early you weren't going to be able to, get involved as I normally am or as I love. But, so I knew that coming in, and I knew, it just involves so much time and effort, and living where I live, it's tough to get there all the time. So I knew that the role was going to be similar to what it is right now. So that's not surprising to me. And it's actually works really well into my mindset. I just love being around players. I love being around coaches. I love, seeing everything that happens on the field. I love being able to give some advice on this or that, or, insights to this or that. And, I love, encouraging, motivating, those types of things. And so I don't think I'm not disappointed in exactly in what this role is. I'm not disappointed in it being different than what I thought. It's exactly, pretty much what I thought how it was going to work out.
What specifically can't you do? Like you talk about, you have a desire to, be between the lines. You can't be between the lines. What does that mean? You cannot physically be out there?
I'm not sure that that's exactly what I can't do is I can't, coach, and I can't go out on the field and, work with a player out on the field. I can't even hit a fungo or throw batting practice and that kind of thing. So that's, basically what I cannot do. Other than that, I think I can, I can talk to the players, talk to the coaches, talk to the team, give them my insights, off the field and mentally and with practice, organization or games, evaluate those and be involved in meetings. I can do all of that, but you have to stop when it comes to going out on the field and actually coaching and running a drill or running cutoffs and relays or pop-up priorities or first and third defense or, you just can't. I can see these things and I can see how they go. And if I have any suggestions to the coaches off the field or whatever, or, behind the scenes, I can do that. But you just can't get involved out there. It's really a lousy rule because there's so many, baseball has always been underfunded. It's been under scholarshiped. It's been under, coach numbers. It's just the way it's been for, as long as I've been coaching. And so unfortunately, that's just the way it is for now. Maybe someday they'll allow all the staff members or whatever to be able to coach and get involved on the field, which I think would be a great idea if the NCAA could ever come up with that. But, for the time being, that's just not the way it is.
John Blau of the Post and Courier recently interviewed you and had a really good story. He quoted you saying, "It's like holding a stallion back in the stall, an 8x8 stall after a long winter, and I'm kicking the sideboards."
I haven't seen the article that he wrote, but I did say that, and it does feel like that is a pretty good analogy. I just there's so much that I have in my mind and to offer, and that I see on the field and see in these players and so forth. There's so much, and it's hard to hold it back. You just have to channel it in a different way. But at the same time, that's it's probably an accurate picture description of how I feel sometimes, just because that's how I am. I spent 40 years, being in charge and running practices and running games and coaching third base and all those types of things, and talking to the team after, before, in dugout, in the locker room, on the bus, on the field, after games, before games, all that kind of thing. So it's, it's a different adjustment for me. And, although I'm, my mind is as sharp, my energy is as good as it's ever been. I feel like I'm 35 years old. It's as simple as that. I don't know how else to describe it. And it's just one of those things. And so I don't feel my age. And I don't feel like, I coached the USA national team at 18 and under kids that I got along with great. And there's a 50-year difference between the two of us. But we were just as close, just as the chemistry was awesome. They stay in touch. They appreciate what they learned. They would tell me many times, "Coach, where's this energy coming from? We can't even keep up with you." And they're 18, 17, 18-year-old kids. So it's still in my blood. So it's not like I'm, running away out to pasture anywhere. As simple as that.
to continue the horse analogy.
Exactly.
So I remember years ago, covering a random game that y'all would lose, and the media would be standing on one side of the dugout waiting on you to be ready to talk, and sometimes you would just sit there by yourself just stewing for 20 or 30 minutes before you're ready to talk to us. It's obviously when you're running the show, when you're the head coach, sometimes it's impossible to turn off, to compartmentalize, to leave your work at work. Mm-hmm. Is being a part-timer, is there some positive in that it's not all on your shoulders, and that you might actually be learning how to channel the quote-unquote obsession with it, where you might be able to leave it at work? Or is that not true? When you come home, you just can't stop thinking about it just as always?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I'm totally invested in this program because Eric Backage, I love Eric, and I love this program. I want it to succeed. I feel like it's got the right leadership. I feel like it's got the right people involved. I think they're doing the right things. I listen to everything that's going on. I learn. I see things. I see them in the classroom. I see them, how he talks to them before, after, in tough situations, in good situations. So yeah, I'm totally invested. So it's a little different when you're not the head coach, but I still, if things don't go well, I still think about it. I got an hour drive. I think about it. I got 8 hours in bed. I think about it. I got another 8 hours the next day to think about it. I'm always thinking about how we can do better, or how we did well. It's on my mind. I think about baseball all the time, Larry. I mean, it's hard to shut off. I will say is probably got a little better balance now because I'm not the head coach, but at the same time, I am so invested in the success of this program and wanted to get back to the times that we had. I mean, we had some good times. It's not easy to go to 9 super regionals and go to 6 College World Series. I think people are realizing that. So it's one of those things that, you want to get back to the postseason. You want to get back to being relevant to show how much your hard work pays off and so those types of things. So that's a really good question, but the answer is probably not exactly what you want to hear because it's hard for me to leave it at the ballpark. It's hard for me to leave it behind because I care so much about these guys, these coaches, and this program, these players being successful that it's, it hurts to lose and it's exciting to win. And so I always said it was hard to sleep during the season because if you lost, you pound the pillow a little bit, and you rehash the game, and you think about what you got to do to get better. You think about all the little things that maybe you could have done better in the game or whatever, all the little things. And then so you don't sleep much. But then if you win, you're so excited and you're so happy with how you played and you're rehashing the game in your mind in a real positive vein. And you can't wait to get to the field the next day. So you're hoping the night, you're hoping that 8 hours becomes about 4 because you want to get back to the field again. So it's a hard balance being a coach. And so I still feel like in my mind, I still feel like I'm coaching. I'm just coaching in a different way, and I'm teaching in a different way, and I'm helping in a different way. And so, I guess the bottom line answer is that yes, it still is great to win, and yes, it still hurts to lose, but yes, you take it home with you. Yes, you think about it all the time.
In the midst of some scuffles here early in the season, 4 straight losses, what's your average nightly sleep total this week?
Not so good because I want to get back out on the field. I want to see a W, and I want to see them get back on track. I think the team is certainly capable of becoming a really good team. Just got to piece the puzzle together. And I always said it takes 15, 18, 20 games to get, find everybody's role and find what everybody can do. And, they played a little good competition. Central Florida was a good team, and USC Upstate just, outplayed them, but at the same time, we had opportunities. And so in every game, we've had opportunities to win. So that's the encouraging part of it. And I, as a coach, know that it's a long season and it's a marathon, and, you can't panic. You got to keep an even keel and all those types of things. Yeah, I remember wants to win every game, but it just doesn't happen in baseball. And so I know as a coach that things are going to get better and things are going to fit into place. And, it's going to take a little while to make it all work the way they want to work. And they want it to work. But at the same time, I see really positive things. I see really good things ahead. But obviously you want to try to score, every game, want to score one more run than the other guys have. So, it's just, you think about it all the time, and I'm thinking about it today. I'm thinking about tonight's game. I'm thinking about, what we have to do to win.
If you're in the Eastern Midlands and PD area and you're in any way interested in buying and selling a home, commercial property, land, need to consider reaching out to Uptown Realty. They're based out of Sumter and run by a friend of mine, Patrick Enzer, big Clemson guy, used to cover the Tigers in a newspaper capacity, longtime supporter of Tiger Illustrated, longtime listener to the Dubcast. The home buying process should be an enjoyable experience, so let Patrick and his staff do all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call 803-774-0435 or go to uptownrealtysc.com. Want to share a quick word about Founders Federal Credit Union? If you've been to a sporting event in Clemson, you've probably heard about Founders already. They are the official credit union partner of the Clemson Tigers. In addition to that, all Clemson faculty, staff, and students are eligible for membership as well as IPTAY members. Matt Gross is a proud Clemson alum and the vice president for the Clemson market for Founders Federal Credit Union. Matt's office is located beside the Walmart Neighborhood Market on Old Greenville Highway in Clemson. For more information, go to foundersfcu.com. Another loyal supporter of the Dubcast is Blackacre Law Firm in Greenville, a subsidiary of Parham Smith and Archambault. Blackacre helps South Carolina residents achieve their dreams of home ownership by providing experienced professional representation for real estate closings. Attention to detail is crucial in real estate law. Blackacre is committed to making sure nothing gets by them preparing residential or commercial closings. Blackacre also offers estate planning services for their clients in the Greenville area. Find out more about Blackacre at 864-326-3507. As Eric took over, as both of you sort of diagnose the program, the talent on hand, all that stuff, every facet of it, and certainly you had watched them from a distance previous to coming back. What's your big picture sort of summary of where things are in terms of talent on hand, and not like right now, but at that juncture last summer, and just what was your take on the program itself?
Well, I see really good things. The staff now works extremely hard. There are some good players left over. There's some areas where there's concern or it's got to get better. But at the same time, I think once they piece all the pitching together and get everybody's healthy, there's 2 or 3 guys that are banged up right now. Then that happens every year, but you don't like to have it happen right now. You don't want it to happen at the end of the season, but you don't want it to happen at any time because it doesn't allow you to get exactly in the flow that you want. So once they figure out all the roles, the pitching roles, get a little more, get a few more timely hits. They're playing, I think, really good defense, defensively in the infield, and any mistakes they've made. One mistake has led to 3 or 4 runs. They've given up some big innings here and there, and that is not conducive to coming away with a win at the end of the day. So I see that the coaches are really working hard at recruiting, and they've got some really good kids coming in, nailed down to come in. There's some good kids, young kids in the program right now that I think are going to develop and get better. And so I see it as a positive way. I think that their approach at the plate, even though they haven't got a couple of big hits that they need to get here and there, there's less striking out. There's more putting balls in play. It's just got to be, I think there's just a better approach in some ways there. And so hopefully that transcends into more W's before it's all over. I'm sure it will. I feel good about it. I feel good about, the leadership that's in the program. I absolutely, think they got the right people in place to make this work. It just takes some time. Sometimes there's always a little transition and to things. And I think there's certain, I don't know how to say this, but I guess there's certain places on the field that just got to keep getting better. And I think they see that, and I think they see that in the future. You got some good older players that are good players that are playing right now, and so you got to be able to replace those in the future, and have every confidence they will.
This might only interest me, but in describing this team, you're alternating between they and we.
I want to say we. Make it always we. Okay.
But it's kind of like maybe that's kind of indicative of just it's kind of weird. I mean, you're not, you're still getting used to it. It sounds like.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a difference, but it's, it's always a we. When you're involved. So don't use the they thing. Okay, just use the. Are you still there?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm bringing off the hook here. I guess when I say they, I'm talking about the players on the field at times. They've just got, when I say, they got to do a little better job of, situational hitting. That's what they have to do. But it's always a we, because if you do good things, we either win or we either lose. Simple as that. So I guess it's, can go back and forth. It's not an indication of a disconnect. It's just a term of, they all got to get better. We all got to get better. I guess you can use both.
Sorry for that bit of armchair psychoanalysis. In the dugout, how do you use your voice when it's not the voice? I mean, that's really kind of fascinating too.
Another good question, but Eric's given me the green light to say anything I want to say at any time to the players or to the staff, whatever. So there's no, I'm not walking on, and treading on his water. He's got the final voice. He's the one that talks to him at the end. He's the one that talks to him at the beginning of the game. But I can put my 2 cents worth in here before the game, or talk to kids and individually, and give them a little bit of pep. So there's no bumping into each other. I know what my role is. I know who's in charge, and it's just it's one of those things that works really well. I think it'll work really well, and I don't know how long I'll do this, or how long this lasts or whatever. But while it does, I'm going to give you 100% of what I have every time that I'm around, and I'm going to give you my thoughts, because that's why I'm here, to try to help any way I possibly can.
When you say I don't know how long this lasts, what do you mean?
Well, I don't know if I'll, how many years I'll do this, or how long I'll, stay involved in this capacity. It's just a matter of, I'm going to do this season and then evaluate it, see where I'm at, and see where things are, and help in any way I can. I'll always be around. I'll always be here. I'll always be Eric's friend. I'll always be somebody he can talk to. Whether I'm in this role or not. So I'm always going to be involved in that capacity, because I care. I just, I'm going to take this season, see where it goes, and see, what my value is, and then just, take it from there. That's all.
If you cross paths with Ray Tanner and Monte Lee tonight, what's that conversation like with those two guys?
I guess it doesn't really need to be a lot of conversation. I'm not gonna. There's not running away from it. There's no, I don't have anything against Monte, against Monte Lee or Ray Tanner or whatever. It's just, it is what it is, And so I wouldn't, guess I'm not going to go out to lunch, but at the same time, they're, good people, and, they got a job to do, and we got a job to do.
I hate to dredge this up, but I kind of have to, based on our last conversation. I don't know if you came out and said it last May, but it didn't take a master of deductive reasoning to conclude that you thought Dan Radakovich consulted with Ray when he was trying to figure out what to do with you. And I can understand how that would bring a lot of heartburn in you. Mm-hmm. Can you reflect on that some, just a little bit, perhaps, just because that was one of the big takeaways from that conversation was, wow, did that really happen? And if it did, man.
It happened. I was told by him that it happened. So
by Ray?
No, by
Dan.
Yeah. So that was made apparent. So that's probably as far as I want to take that, because it just, it's kind of an uneasy thing, but that's the truth.
Did you and Ray have any kind of relationship before that?
I always thought we had a really good relationship. We played hard, we competed hard. I competed when he was at NC State. we had great games there, great battles. We had great battles, Clemson, South Carolina. They were hard fought. We both had teams that were relevant in the national picture and in Omaha and so forth. And so I always felt like we had a good relationship. It just was, I just never, when this thing whole happened, I just never heard, I heard from hundreds of coaches and players. I just never heard from them. So I just assumed, whatever. And so that was disappointing, but that's, everybody handles things in a different way.
So that episode definitely changed things as far as y'all's relationship went. I
would say it did, I guess, on my part, just because, I had good relationships with all the coaches that I coached against, and we had mutual respect. And when something like this happens, I'm the first person to reach out to people that have, that have lost their jobs, or things haven't gone right, or they have, team wasn't playing well or something. That's just something that I always did. So I guess it's just the way I see, see things, but not everybody sees things the same way.
Some of my more memorable sort of recollections of relationships sort of developed between rivals who are trying to beat each other's brains in on the field, but then they get together away from the field. Danny Ford and Joe Morrison back in the 80s, when Danny would go down for an IPTAY meeting in Columbia, he would stop by Joe's office and they'd sit there and drink beer and just talk. Dabo Sweeney and Spurrier, like Spurrier would do everything to get under Dabo's skin, but then Spurrier would call him and say, he'd say, yeah, y'all were the better team. I don't know how we won that game. Y'all just turned the ball over too much. Spurrier even invited Dabo and Kathleen to his College Hall of Fame induction dinner in New York. Dabo and Spurrier, Shane Beamer, very immense respect for the other that's probably going to endure beyond their competition. So I guess there will probably never be anything like that between you and Ray.
I don't know. I have respect for Ray, and I respect for the program and all those types of things. I don't feel that way, but it's probably not. His wife Karen was always very nice and always came over and spoke to me and everything. So I guess I just thought maybe there would be some kind of I don't know. I just thought maybe there'd be some kind of acknowledgement that we had a lot of good battles along the way, and that there was some mutual respect.
Haven't spoken to him since.
Have not.
Wow. Eric says that this program has everything it needs to flourish. Not on the field, but some of the things that you and I talked about years ago: academic common market, the need-based aid that really allowed programs like Vanderbilt, Virginia, and others to flourish. Do you have a sense of where Clemson is in that respect, and whether those are still pretty big disadvantages that maybe the commoner, the layman, doesn't really notice?
I think you have to get more information from Eric. I'm not as close to that as maybe I was when I was coaching, but there's always, with the NIL now, there's always a need, and everybody's got something cooking. There's always a academic common market or a neighboring states thing, or, everybody's got something going in baseball, because baseball's always been underfunded. It's always been a lack of scholarships. It's always been, rules have been made up to really not to make it flourish, a number of kids on scholarship, number of kids on your roster, all those types of things. So, there's a lot of things now, the transfer portal and all those types of things that make it a difficult job. It's not easy. And so, I think there's, anything that goes to help, academic common market, or goes to help with scholarships is absolutely essential, because, baseball's basically very much underfunded with 11.7 scholarships, and you got 35 guys in the roster, or 40 now, I guess you can have. So it's always been an underfed sport, as simple as that. And it just seems to make it difficult. There's a lot of other schools that have advantages, that have things that allow them to, maybe have an advantage in recruiting at different times. But, Clemson's got great facilities. They got a great academic school, got a great location. They got a great campus. They got great tradition, and they got coaches who know what they're doing, and they've got, a heritage, and exposure that kids want to be a part of. So I see a lot of really good things that are in place to recruit here.
I'll never forget leading into Monte's first season, they were practicing, and I was out there. You were out there watching, and you're looking up at the baseball operations facility that you had helped fundraise for, that you even contributed $25,000 to, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that you were not able to step foot in there. Kind of similar to Tommy Bowden and the West End Zone facility that went up after he was fired. When was the first time you walked in there more recently, and what was that like? Just taking your first steps inside the facility that you helped conceive and fund.
I think, when I went to the press conference, Eric's press conference, I'm not sure if that wasn't the first time I'd been in there. And so it was eerie. It was eerie to walk down the third baseline. When I came in for the press conference, it's really the first time I felt welcomed back in, the 7 years. I mean, it's just the first time I felt good walking down that line and going to the press conference. And it's just nice to be. The fans have always been great to me. Every time they, see you, or just glad to be back. They tell you good things and make you feel welcome, make you feel good. And so that's always been good. I just, it's just nice to be welcomed back by the coaches and be able to talk to the players and the team and have them understand who you are. And I think that was, kind of missing for several years here. And so I just never felt all that welcome, all that good about coming back. And, when the leadership changed, with the athletic director, things changed. And so I'm appreciative of that.
So you were coming back some early, I guess, in Monte's first year, coming to games, coming to some practices.
Went to practice. I went to few games, and they were games because I had a lot of players on the team that I was connected with that had been held over, and some of the coaches in the other dugout had coached with me, TR Winthrop or somebody else, guys, maybe a conference coach that I really got along with in the other dugout, or, the players. And so I went to a few. The University of Maine was the first game weekend. That was my alma mater, and I knew the coach really well. And it was hard. Now, it was not easy. Let's just put it that way. But I did it. I did a few like that. And then since that time, I haven't been back. I probably haven't been back there in 5 years to watch a game.
So there was just no connection.
Yeah.
What was moving to Greenville? How much, I guess, therapy did that provide? Just not being in Clemson.
It was tough. It was tough to be around. I just, I had so many good friends in the athletic department, so many good friends. So that was, I always felt good. I just didn't feel good with one person, with one person made it a little different. And so it was difficult. And so I felt a little on the outside looking in, and we lived on Lake Kiwi for a couple of years afterwards. Then we moved up to Simpsonville, and for 4 years or so, and then we moved in a little closer to Greenville for the last year and a half. And a couple of years. So it's been good. I like it up here. It's been, you can see things and follow things from a distance, but at the same time have your space. And so it's difficult. If I lived closer, I'd probably be around that baseball field, too much, or a lot more.
What was it like when you put the uniform back on for the first time? And when?
You put a pair of Clemson pants on and put on the white, shoes, and, put the gear on and a hat, Clemson baseball hat. It's just, you feel like you're 20. And that's exactly how I feel every time I put a pair of pants on. I feel like a little kid ready to play and ready to compete. And that's the way I've felt for 40 plus years, and that's exactly how I feel now. It doesn't feel any different when you put those pants on, man. It's like, I can't wear a jersey, so you're not a coach, but you can put a pair of pants on. You can be at practice, or you can put a pair of pants on and be at the game, and still just do your thing. But it's I guess I won't have the 7 jersey on at any point, but at the same time, it's just nice to be able to, to feel like you're a baseball player again.
Wait a minute. You can wear you can wear baseball pants, but not a jersey. Does that not sum up where we are with the NCAA and what in the world?
Well, I guess, you're just not a full-time coach and, or a part-time coach. You just, you have a different role. And so I guess it's, you got Ben Paulson, you got Phil Pohl, who are different roles as well. They're kind of like, I don't know exactly what they can and cannot do. I know they can't, go out in the field and coach and that kind of thing as well. They can administer a drill and so forth. But so let's say, it's just a little different that way, but it's no big deal. It's just the way it is.
So you're wearing like a pullover or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With softball, the presence of softball, is that a competitor to baseball? There are lots of older, senior citizen types who traditionally have gotten season tickets to baseball games. Now here comes softball, and it's, oh my God, it's 2 hours every time. We don't have to sit out there for 4, sometimes 4+ hours. Is that what is that dynamic like in your eyes? As I don't know.
Well, obviously got a really good coaching staff and a really good and successful softball program, and I think it's great for the school. It's great for the, facility is awesome, and they've been playing very well, and they got a really good program going. So I don't look at anything but a positive. But I don't. Baseball is still baseball. If you love baseball and you grew up around it, then baseball is still going to be baseball. And so I don't know, what the season tickets are, or what the, crowd numbers are, and that kind of thing. I'm not all involved in all that, but baseball is still baseball. Clemson baseball is still Clemson baseball. It's still a good brand of baseball to watch. So I would assume we're still going to have the following that you want to have. And you have 2 things that go well, 2 W's.
Yeah.
Winning and weather. Those 2 things. Those 2 things will bring people to the ballpark.
Does baseball in general need to do more to make it speed things along a little bit?
Well, they're doing there's this 10-second rule between pitches and, getting on the mound and 10 seconds getting that in the batter's box and all that kind of thing. They're trying to do everything they can to speed it up. And so I think it's heading the right direction. That everybody will get used to these rules, and I'm all for speed the game up and, make it go a little bit faster than it has sometimes. So I think it's all be positive once everybody gets used to it.
And it sounds like you've developed a reputation for predicting big innings so far in the dugout.
How'd you hear that? What?
That was in the article, in the Post and Courier article.
It just happens to be, you have this feel sometimes, and you just want to spread a positive vibe and you make the kids believe. And so it's happened a few times, So maybe I need to do it more often.
So you predicted a couple of the big innings against Binghamton and Charlotte, I guess?
Right. It just happened to say the right thing at the right time. But, in the end, the players are the ones who got to do it. But I think it just sometimes it gives them, he believes we can do this, we can do it. And Eric's really good about that too. He makes them believe they can do anything. So it comes from him as well.
Is there going to be something on the schedule? Is there something already where they're going to showcase, honor your tenure and have a celebration of that, or is that still in the works, or during the game, I guess I should say?
That's something you have to ask Graham about. I had been told something was going to happen this spring. I haven't been told since that time, but that's something you'd have to ask him about.
Well, Jack, I don't know if there's anything else on your mind, but you've been very generous with your time.
Always, Larry. No problem. It's always good talking to you. I look forward to seeing you sometime.
Yeah, I hope you get the weather W tonight. First of all, hope you all are able to get it in. So,
well, even if it's not a good weather W, we need the other W. We're gonna figure out how to make it work, even if the conditions are a little rough. But I think they'll end up playing before it's all over tonight. They get tarp on the field, and as long as it clears up. So we'll see. I guess that again, I'm not involved in that, whether that happens or not. So that's the baseball office, I'm sure they're talking about that. I'm headed down there pretty soon, so I'll find out more about it.
Okay, the always interesting Jack Leggett about a decidedly interesting situation here with him coming back to his old program. Be interested to see how long this lasts after hearing what he had to say in this interview. Appreciate him giving us so much of his time during a busy time. Thanks to our sponsors, of course. And most of all, thanks to every one of you for hitting that play button. Everybody have a great weekend. Cheers.